this morning and the sun was shining. Every cloud has got a silver lining. It's a beautiful, wonderful day. Oh, it's a beautiful, wonderful day. Well, I washed my face and got some food. I'm feeling and I'm looking good. It's a beautiful, wonderful day. Yes, it's a beautiful, wonderful day. And I can't explain this feeling deep inside. Oh, it's such a good one that you know.
Here we are.
Ooh!
It wants to behave.
Wow! You
All
got
right.
a fancy border and everything.
I know, right? I can put words on it. I can do anything here.
What are you using to do that?
It's Logitech has a new software out called Logitech Capture.
I need to use that.
Yeah, so it just hooks into their webcam, and you can pan left and right and zoom in and out.
Oh shit! That's awesome.
So yeah,
We do that.
it works.
This will be the first time I know. I want to upgrade. I want to make this with each show do like a better version of it. I'm trying to be a good. I'm trying to be a better boy. I'm trying to be a good boy.
Right on.
I just looked at some older interviews and I'm like, oh shit, I'm rusty. Hey, so Mr. Rick Rood, welcome to my silly little podcast, Brett's with Friends. Episode 68.
68. All right, good. That's the year I was born. Perfect.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Good. All right, good. I was born in '69.
All right.
Well, welcome to the show. This is a podcast that's been 30 years in the making. Let's talk about you're a musician,
Yeah.
a DJ.
Yeah. Haven't done that for a while, but yeah, I used to do that.
We're gonna go into that because
Okay.
that's when I met you.
All
in
right.
Los
Sounds
Gatos
good.
through Michael DeRosa, who no longer is my friend and obscure component of my life. And you're also a husband.
Yeah.
You're a teacher.
Yeah.
Is there anything I'm missing?
Actually, I've been doing a lot of photography lately. So, photographer and creating digital art. So that keeps me busy. That's really what I've been focusing on recently, is just doing a lot of digital art and so forth. So.
And when you say digital art, what do you mean exactly? Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, I mean, digital art is just art that you create on the computer. I generally take, I have this totally awesome Sony camera that I take out and just take shots of, whatever. And living here in New Mexico, everything here is just so freaking beautiful. So I'll take that and I'll use these photographs as sort of the base for creating art that's a little surreal. So it's digitally enhanced. And I know that some people think that's like, bad word or whatever, but I really enjoy it, because I'm not trying to represent exactly what the camera sees. I'm trying to go a little deeper, more into some psychedelic stuff, in terms of just creating evocative pieces that may or may not even look like the original. So just taking that and making stuff that I think looks cool. So
what's your software that you're using of choice?
I use Photoshop. That's my favorite. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
And I'm being gentle with this because there's so much to cover and I want to go down, but you do have one of my favorite albums of all time. And I played that cassette, Cat's Pajamas, for a good 10 to 15 years in my car. I still have it.
Crazy.
And you need to give me a CD.
Now, what does that say about you? Because it's an album for kids. So, right?
You can deduce all you want. I'm a child at heart, but I think I don't know how much you want me to say, but about the production of the album. But I remember that you were experimental.
A little bit,
in the way that you did this album, Cat's Pajamas, and did the cover art.
Well, yeah, and
you
were remiss to mention that. Yeah, the cover art is awesome. The kids still love it, and and the current crop of 4th and 5th graders that I teach are all just way impressed that here's this CD with a cartoon cat that's very cool, and they listen to the music and they're impressed that, wow, you're really singing. Are you singing? Really? You're singing that? Oh, you're playing the guitar? What? So yeah, but it was basically me and a friend, Peter Samuel, who lives, he's in San Jose now. He used to live up in Los Altos and had his little recording studio in the guest house out back. And so it was just the two of us, really. We brought in some, spare musicians every now and then for doing backups and that sort of thing. But, over a period of, I don't know, about a year, we just, worked an hour or two at a time and put it all together. We'd trade off playing, riffs on the keyboard or the guitar. Peter was always, he's a fantastic songwriter. And I don't know if you know about, we always called them affectionately tape derbies, where the Northern California Songwriters Association. So they would hold twice a year these I don't know what you call like rodeos for all the songwriters to come bring in their cassette tape of their song, and they'd have people from the industry listen, and they could option them out at that point if they wanted. So Peter was really heavy into that, and a great songwriter, but definitely more along towards the pop music kind of stuff. So he really brings like a pop sensibility and beats. I'm probably about the whitest guy there is. I have no connection to beats at all. So he saved me there, but we just take turns, playing the electronic drums or the keyboards and just put it together. So it was a great process.
If we can play, we should do. We got to do like a music video or something for that or something. There, because like, I don't want to butcher the lyrics or anything like that, but if we could put one of those songs on here, that would be amazing, just to give them a taste of what that is. Because
totally.
I thought there was in hindsight, after years of listening to Cat's Pajamas, and like I know it's for kids, but the music in it and the lyrics are just, I like the throwaway. I don't know, it just feels like there's a Jimmy Buffett influence in that.
Yeah, a little bit, I guess so. Most of those songs, I'd write them while I'm sitting out on the playground with the kids and just making up shit left and right, and just, whatever came out, and it's kind of just off the cuff kind of stuff. So that's where it all came from. There was no real serious, deep thought into, what's the cat going to do now? And that just sort of just popped out. So, but just having 30 kids around and, playing off them definitely worked.
And what year was that, you think? Like 1997, 1987, 1980, no, 1992?
It was in the 90s, because that was back, because I remember you driving the artwork over to where I was living in Santa Clara, and so I guess that would put it around 93, 94, maybe 92. Yeah, it's funny, as you get older, all the years just sort of blend together. So it's
so funny because like 1992 was such a crazy year. Like it seems like now I'm 52 now. And so you're like 53 probably, but like it's such a weird, being this age and like being having that timeline to look back on, and you're like, but I feel like, I was a little bit of a smart ass and a little bit of a I don't know, I had passion, I guess. I was a little arrogant maybe, but but like the relationship I had with Michael DeRoss are doing that film that never got completed, but then he reshot it. Do you ever talk to him?
Every now and then he'll message me out of the blue from his little hiding hole in France, and so he seems to be doing well. I think that he was, especially during the 90s, he was like somewhat desperately unhappy where he was living there in Mountain View. And
we're goth. We were totally all goth.
Yeah.
I remember we went to hey, cheers to Mike if he sees this. Hey dude.
Definitely.
All is good. No bad feelings. It was our childhood. But boy, that was crazy shit. But so hopefully stay in contact with me. We still have work to do, Mike.
I think he enjoys it in France. He really, is, the times that I've talked to him, he seems genuinely happy about being there and feels more like home to him, I think, than California did.
He's been there for a long time now.
Yeah, he's been there probably for 20, 25 years now.
So we were working on a film called Remembrance.
Yeah, I remember riding along with you on some of the shoots when we were going down the back roads and outside north of Stanford or west of Stanford, like shooting on those long roads out there.
Yeah, I know. I got Mike. If you're listening, man, we got to put that shit together, dude. That was that's like gold. I can't. Right? I don't like having things like when you shoot things and then you help on a project and you never see it. It's sort of anticlimactic for all the people involved because it is a sort of a time capsule. And It was good work. It was good work, and the shots are beautiful. I mean, we were doing shots out of the back of that truck that he had rent through the countryside, and I was holding the camera. I mean, those are all beautiful shots. We went through 4 different actresses to play. I was playing the lead. Anyways, I remember I made my own little remembrance out of the video I had.
Okay, awesome.
I put it my remembrance because.
Did you ever post that? I haven't seen it. So.
Oh yeah, maybe we'll play it on this video.
Okay, that'd be awesome.
Okay, so we'll put that little film that I was able to gather together and kind of string what my version of it was.
Okay.
taken so long for the words to be true, and always just breaking apart like pictures of you.
Which is not anyways, you know, is Sexualizing Videotape time. When everybody when Sexualizing Videotape came out, we went and saw that at the Prune Yard. My memory is pretty good for being a big stoner and drinker, but I don't remember. I mean, I remember I have an elephant's memory, but and we looked at each other, we should make our own independent movie. And so we spent the next 2.5 years. And I always had I was lucky because I always got a new girl to kiss because they played the lead. So I kind of like was Mike was sort of my little pimp for a second, but that's not the way we intended it to be.
Right.
But that's just trying to work on two crazy guys trying to make a movie, you know, to step into the ring of Hollywood.
Yeah.
I think there's still something there. It's like painting, you know, you paint something and you come back to it, you paint something, it's in layers, you know, it's layers. So I don't think those things are dead. I think they're actually more valuable than ever because the passion behind making them was true and the intention was pure. But then egos get involved and girlfriends get involved, and then you're feeling that people are hanging out with your girlfriend when you didn't even know they hung out. Anyways, it was very strange. It's a very weird thing, but what we
I know what you're talking about too, because I do that with my photographs sometimes too. Like I'll have shot something, you know, 5 or 10 years ago, and I'll go back and I'll look at the editing that I did on it, and I'm like, oh, you know, that had so much more potential. Let's shift this and do that, and so it'll come out with a complete new work. So yeah, I hear you.
Yeah, and the sound is so important too. The sound mix. I mean, we always know how important sound is.
Yeah.
But to actually do it like with a full like ambient and all the other nuances that sound provide it makes it a fuller movie. And that's usually the last thing. It seems like I've just done my final version audio edit on Parade, which is the film I shot around that time and that I completed, but it took me 20 years to finally get the actual thing.
Right.
Maybe I'll put that on here too.
1, 2, 1, 2.
You had plenty money, 1941. You lost it all and then away you run. Why don't you do right like some other men do? Get out of here and get me some money too. You're sitting down wondering what it's all about. You ain't got no money, they will put you out. Why don't you do like some other men? Get out of here and get me some money too.
Shit. Fucking BB. Wrong fucking pistol anyway. Fuck. Shit.
Come on.
Fuck. Where the fuck is it when I need it? I can't do anything with this.
Oh, God. Oh, shit. Oh. Oh. Ow.
Didn't see it coming.
Fuck you.
Happy New Year, Bob.
Lindsay.
Mommy didn't want me to come over and see you, but I told her you were my friend.
Is that right? Well, come on in, I guess. I don't have anything for you to drink.
That's okay. Yuck. What happened to your face?
I had an accident in the bathroom.
Does it hurt?
You bet it does. Go ahead, sit down.
When I fell off my bike, that really hurt. You need help.
I know, sweetheart.
You should go to the hospital.
I know. I can't.
But why?
You wouldn't understand.
Mm.
You just keep knocking them dead with that beautiful smile of yours. You'll be all right. Why aren't you outside watching the parade?
Mom says I have to stay in the building and watch from the windows.
Go ahead.
Watch it from my window. I gotta clinch this bandage in the bathroom. I'll be right back.
Ow!
Can I help? Mommy says you're sad because you don't have a job. Don't be sad. On New Year's Day, everyone is supposed to be happy.
Can you keep a secret?
Yes?
I don't want to be here right now.
Huh? Where do you want to be?
No, exactly. Just far away from here. Sometimes, New Year's Day, people don't. They feel sadder than they did before. Don't want to go on. Hurting. Like me. It's not just being out of work. It's not having a family. Someone to be around. Someone to take care of.
I know how sad you are. It's like when Clifford never came home.
Right. Clifford. Your cat. Remember when he didn't come home? You were really sad. Hey, come on. Let's go watch the parade.
They won't take care of you at the hospital, will they?
I can't afford it.
I understand.
Yeah. Yeah, smart girl.
I think I better go now.
Okay, Lindsay.
Is this yours?
Stop. Don't move.
Is that real?
Yes.
You should come to the hall for dinner.
I gotta take care of my eye.
Mommy can take care of your eye.
Yeah, sure. Hey, Lindsay. I'm sorry I had to involve you in all my troubles.
That's okay. I like you.
I like you too.
We're friends.
Yeah, we sure are.
Bye.
There you
We'll have
go.
like
Why
a,
not?
we'll have a little thing. But
Totally.
these have.
Well, I always thought I was, as far as, I mean, I'm not a filmmaker. That's the one area I haven't gotten into is like movies, but just watching people work on movies, that always seems like the hardest part is the sound. I mean, especially back then when you didn't have the tools that we have now. I mean, now you can plug it into a computer and it's much easier, but it's still hard to get that, just right sound. So yeah, so I've always thought that was kind of the difficult part.
It was a difficult part. It still is a difficult part. But we were doing the sound and audio on DATs.
Right. Yeah, the little little cassette tapes, miniature
which was
cassettes.
hardcore tech back then. That was the
that was the shit back then.
Yeah,
the top of the line.
No, we're doing the sound on DAT. It's all good, dude. We got but I like I like all those things. Like even like like even Cat's Pajamas. It's like it holds. It's like amber. It holds time and place. It is important. I mean, all those things that I look back on paintings that some of the paintings I don't have as a child or as around that time. You can still see the fingerprints on them. Where you were at the time that you're doing it. It's like and I'm sure it's the same thing with music or but let's talk about let's regress.
Why not?
Let's go back to your story as a little child. Where did you grow up and when did you start being creative and what did you give us a little synopsis. I like to do past, present, and future.
Okay. Well, let's see. I grew up in a little town in New Mexico called Los Alamos, where the lab is. So we always joke that city is just a bunch of scientists and their weird kids. So that's basically where that came from. I think I started being creative. God, my parents, I don't want to say they forced me to take piano lessons, but I hated practicing. I hated it. And so I, probably spent 10 years in piano lessons and advanced maybe 2 or 3 years worth of talent because I would never practice. I drove my piano teacher nuts. And then when my folks got divorced, I moved out to California with my dad and didn't didn't resume piano lessons. But what I did is I started playing piano and just sort of figuring out stuff on my own. And that was a much more, I would say, like holistic approach. And the piano lessons served me well because I had all this theory behind it now. So I knew, what goes with what and what sounds good. But now I was just sort of free forming and being able to create, my own, sound and figure things out on my own. So I would just mess around and I just started writing just some ridiculously simple songs. Most of the first ones, there was no singing at all. It was just, just instrumental on the piano. And really enjoyed expressing myself that way. So that's really where that came from.
What kind of music were you into at that time what were you listening to? What
my childhood was so deprived. It's very sad. My parents,
join the club.
my parents listened to, and I was such a self-unaware kid. I was like, I was probably, 19 or 20 before I had any sort of self-awareness at all. So I just the parents listened to Kenny Rogers and the New Christie Minstrels and classical music, because that was basically all I grew up on. And I remember, like, the blinders started to come off. I remember going to a garage sale, and I remember this really vividly, and I don't know why, but I was like 12 years old and I had like $5 burning a hole in my pocket. And there were those two, I don't know if you know the blue and the red Beatles albums, the compilations. One was like 64 to 69, the other one was 69 onward.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, but those were in the bin, and I'd heard of the Beatles, and I'm like, okay, well, I'll check this out and see what it is. And so, yeah, I think, I recorded those to cassette, and I think I played that cassette a billion times till it wore out, and I recorded them again. Just, I'm sure my dad like got exhausted listening to Eleanor Rigby in the car, like over and over and over. That was my favorite song. I don't know why that one just spoke to me, but just listening to the Beatles, I'm like, oh, there's so much more out there. So yeah, they're in the early 80s, I guess. And one of the things that's always been really weird with me is that I will just shun anything that's popular. And I don't know why. It's like a knee-jerk reaction. So anything that was popular at the time, I didn't like. And I think late 80s, it was really funny. I got into the Bee Gees, which we were fully in the disco sucks era at this point. But I listened to that and I'm like, damn, this is amazing stuff. And then Michael Jackson's Off the Wall. And I'm like, oh, this is just incredible. And of course, that was, 4 or 5 years past their prime when I was listening to those, and just started seeking out, music that I liked. And then, yeah, so that's sort of the musical taste went that way. And I still today, I tend not to listen to things that are popular. And then I'll go back, my new discovery, new in quotes, is that Justin Timberlake album, the 2020 album. And I'm just like, that is freaking amazing. You think, because you have this image of Justin Timberlake as, like the boy band and, kind of a manufactured talent, but you listen to that, it's just like crazy good. So
yeah, also the production value probably too. He's got the best of the best doing that.
Yeah, the production is just
that's
insane.
It's all about that. That's the 50% right there.
Totally.
Maybe 70%.
Right. Exactly.
To mix it all together.
Yeah. So, so that's sort of the musical journey. And now I just sort of, with the advent of music online, it's a lot easier to go and just hunt down random stuff. And as much as we hate, Amazon keeping tabs on us or Google,
they're not
whatever.
Doing that. They're not doing that. There's no tabs. They're not looking at our stuff.
But some of the suggestions they come up with are awesome. I'm like, oh man, and I never would have found that. It says, okay, so you like this, so you probably like this, and I'll listen to it. I'm like, damn, you're right. It's just amazing. So being able to listen to bands maybe that don't get as much, airtime, on the radio, and it's funny.
Some names. Who should we be listening to? Who should check out?
Right now I have two favorite bands, and they've been my favorite bands for a while now. Or one is an Australian band called The Church, and they had one hit, that Under the Milky Way song, back in like 89.
Oh yeah, that's a
around
classic.
Yeah, it was in Donnie Darko, so I think they got it big. But they've been pretty much crowdfunding their albums since then, and I mean, they're just stunning audio masterpieces, and they change and evolve, you know, and it's just awesome to listen to. So The Church, definitely up there. Very psychedelic too. You know, I really dig like prog rock or psychedelic rock. So their sounds are awesome. And the other one is much the same in terms of, you know, you call it prog rock. A friend of mine said they sound like Genesis, but this band called Marillion, and they're from England, and they've been around for freaking ever. But I think they were the first band to actually crowdfund an album, because their label dropped them after they couldn't get a hit off their fourth or fifth album, and they're like on their 26th album now, and every one of them is just like, you can tell they just go in the studio and they just work and get everything right. So those are the two that I really dig.
Nice. Have you seen the new Devo?
I have not. I didn't even know they were back.
Dude.
Okay, I'll have to check this out now.
They are so good. I mean, I shit, maybe I'll try to play the video, but maybe not on here. It's called I'm Gonna Knock You Out or something like that, or
okay.
It's animation.
Uh-huh.
And it's like a 3-minute song. And it's like so good. And like a few years ago, they did a video called their video, because they're so experimental and visual, and their sound is so, you know, Devo. I mean,
right.
Classics out the door. But they sound more relevant now than ever. Like they did a song like a few year video for like I think this is what we do.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody should check that out. That's like, it's a great video. Is about 3.5 years ago, and then they just recently put out a new one called it's animation. You gotta see it.
I'll definitely check it out.
It's like
it's weird that you bring that up, because like literally like 2 days ago I was just sort of cruising through Amazon Music and found Freedom of Choice again, and I haven't heard it probably in 10-15 years, and I put it on and I'm like, oh man, I remember this was an awesome album.
Dude, it still resonates. It's still totally. They are maybe my, now with this last little thing they just did, I think they might be one of my favorite bands of all time.
Awesome.
I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna try this. Watch this for a second.
Okay, here we go.
I'm gonna try to get this on. We'll see if this goes. But look at this.
That's crazy. Still the same hats and
incredible looking.
That is awesome.
Watch this shit. Isn't that great?
That is very cool.
Anyways, in lieu of playing the whole fucking thing and getting, this thing can't be monetized anyways, the show, just for us really, and the 5 people that watch it. What about the visuals?
Oh, come on. I saw you had almost 50 subscribers. It's growing.
Really?
Yeah.
Shit.
Oh, he's got to go check his list now. Oh,
Oh God, what are the likes? I did get a bad comment on the last one I did with Tree Man. It was like a thumbs down on the episode. I was like, no. And then I put my thumbs up on it.
yeah.
Because it's such a wacky thing having a little podcast after, when we grew up, okay, what's the two old men talking?
Back when we grew up, yeah. Totally.
Like when we grew up back in the night, where we really celebrated, like, it seems like in context, when you look back, I feel like I was self-aware enough to know what was going on back there. I was a little bit cocky, but also very passionate and also dysfunctional from just growing up with my family.
Right.
Completely socially, intimately retarded, I'd say. Like when it comes to my friendships and relationships. So we grow from that. But like you remember One Step Beyond?
Yep.
Can you give us how many times did we, that was such a formidable place. And
Right.
I remember so many things. And were you there the night it ended? One Stop
No,
Beyond
I wasn't.
Club in San Jose.
But
that
I
was
tell
open.
I only went there probably 2 or 3 times, and I felt like I was doing something bad. Every time I went there, like, oh my God, I hope no one finds out that I was here. But
I was there the night it ended, the last night it was open. And we were like in our goth period and shit like that. I remember going to San Luis Obispo or something like that with and we're all like have trench coats on and stuff like
Right,
that.
yeah,
We're all dressed in black
mafia,
and
yeah.
shit like that. And this old lady was like, "Oh, you guys, are you going to a funeral?" Like Mike, and Mike said, "Oh no, we're artists." But everybody wanted to be River Phoenix, and
Yeah.
and just such a crazy. I'm still in touch with Cindy, Kevin, and Tim Cartwright.
Okay.
But all those guys, you're on the peripheral on that. You kind of stayed on the outside. You're DJing.
Yeah,
Tell us about your. What's
well,
that?
I think that's when I went off to college, is when that whole group started. I mean, I remember Tim. I remember Tim really well. So
that's funny. A group. I guess we were sort of a group at one point.
So yeah.
So when the last night of One Step Beyond, just to wrap that up, it was complete chaos. Everybody had to get out. People started throwing bottles around.
Oh jeez.
And this is like a big warehouse space, and everybody was either tripping on LSD or
On something,
drunk or smoking cloves till our brains fell out. And
Yes,
they
I
just had to
remember the
rush
smoking
everybody out of there.
cloves.
They're like beer bottles, because we had bottles, not plastic cups back then, were
Right.
being smashed and thrown around the whole place and skipping along the floor, the concrete floor.
Man.
I have a video that I want to get back from this guy named Mike Long, because I did a video there, and we shot inside there, and it came out. It's called Color Screams, Dance No More, and Mike Long ended up hitting on Krista, who Mike was going out with because she was in the movie.
I remember
And
Chris.
Mike, yeah, it was a whole. Everybody wanted to fuck everybody, basically, one way or another.
Pretty much.
But he's a weirdo. I'm trying to get that video back, man. It was such a fucking good video. Mike helped me do that, but he got mad because I put directed by Brett Woods.
Oh.
And I was like, I did direct it. I mean, I did.
Right?
I fucking put it together. I edited a fucking shot. I paid for it. Whatever. He had some shots in there. I love Mike. Well, it's such a weird. You're giving me all these flashbacks, but so can you tell us a little bit about like being a DJ in Los Gatos, playing country music?
Yeah. So I started DJing when I came out to New Mexico for college, and I started at this rock station, K-Bear 98.5, and that's where I really got my musical education, because it was just a classic rock station. And so all these albums that I probably should have heard of by then, were all new to me. And so it was just like an adventure every time. So, and that station only lasted a year. It was a startup, and it lasted a year, and then they changed formats and fired everybody, which is what happens in the business. Whenever they change formats, like they just send a letter to all the staff saying, "Hey, we don't need you anymore. Don't come back Monday. We're good." So
That was in where was that exactly?
that was in Albuquerque.
Okay, when
So-
were you doing it in LA or not LA? In Los Gatos.
That's when I came back from college. I had a couple more gigs here in New Mexico. I worked all the way through college as a DJ. So I did an oldie station, and then the longest run was probably on a country station here. So got back to California, and I was, yeah, I was basically, I thought I was just, newly minted degree, and dad's trying with computer science and applied math. And dad's got all his Silicon Valley friends trying to get me to, apply to Apple and, all these computer companies. And I'm like, I looked at my dad, I'm like, he sits at
There's no future at Apple.
8 hours,
There's
8
no
hours
future at
a
Apple.
day. But, I mean, I guess it could have been lucrative money wise, but like I said, I watched my dad for like 40 years just sit at a computer 8 hours a day doing that, and I could not think of a more boring job ever. And I'm like, this is not what I want to do. I mean, I'm really good with computers, but that doesn't necessarily mean that that's what I want to do all day. So so I came back, and I was just going to get my dream DJ job by the beach in Santa Cruz. That was the plan, and do a 4-hour shift and go drink margaritas on the beach for the rest of the time.
That's a great goal,
right?
You obviously had
That's
your
what I
brain
thought.
in the fucking street, in the right place.
So so that didn't materialize. I didn't realize how hard it was to get a job, like in not even just Santa Cruz market, anywhere in California, really, unless you're in like Clovis or some little town in the valley. I didn't, and that was not the dream, to go to Fresno and live there.
Yeah.
So eventually I did get a job. I kept plugging at it, and I got a job at KRTY in San Jose as country station. And
I get it. KRTY country. I get
exactly, sort of, yeah. Except the T and the R are backwards. So I don't know what they were
I'm
thinking,
dyslexic, so that makes perfect sense to me.
they were probably just trying to get anything they could at that point, because it used to be, when we were in high school, that was the Cat. I don't know if you remember the radio station, the Cat in Los Gatos.
Shit, that's a fucking wow, my brain just exploded. What the
right?
fuck?
So
Geez, I think I had a bumper sticker.
Yeah, I did too. And so they got bought out, I guess, just a month or so before they hired me, by this country group, and they switched it all over to country. It's still country today. I still stay in touch with some of the people that work there. And so yeah, I just got a job doing that, being a DJ, mostly weekends, just hanging out, because I had gotten, because my dad had politely told me to get off my ass and get a job. Because
how did he politely tell you that
was not happening? He said, he said, you know what, I'm moving and you're not invited.
Wow.
Right. So I was like, oh shit, well, I got to get a job somewhere, right? Pay for a place to live.
Yeah, pops. Yeah, what the hell?
Right.
Come on, what are you doing?
So yeah, so I was just applying all over, and I sort of accidentally fell into teaching, and so I got that job, and KRTY actually hired me like probably 2 weeks after I got that job, but that job was giving me benefits and health insurance and everything. So I'm like, oh, and it was fun, and I really enjoyed it. And it turns out to be my life's calling. So, so I was happy with that, and just happy to do radio.
Can I ask you a quick
weekends.
question?
Yeah.
Real quick about that, because I remember driving with Mike. Everything's gonna center around. This is a Mike special. Thank you, Mike, for being on the
Mike special episode. Yes.
Hey, this is the only way I can apologize. But you're also an idiot back then too.
Yeah.
We were all but like when we were driving, because I remember we had you on the radio in the car in the Jetta,
okay,
with the license plate 12 Jet, because he was a huge what was that movie with Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise, the flight movie, the movie about the airplanes?
I'm drawing a blank.
Oh god. Anyways, it's like we're working at Citrus 21. Anyways, we were driving over to your studio to hang out with you, or to go by there and do something, and we had you on the car radio. And I remember like going, this is like the coolest fucking thing. This is so cool. We're going to this person who's DJing right now.
Talking on the radio.
Yeah, you're talking on the radio. Hey guys out there at KTRY. But did they and then we got there, and you had, I think he's dropping off or delivering something, but were you like a night guy? Like, are you? And also, did they put a filter on your voice to make all the DJs sound the same?
No, they do. Sound wise, pretty much all the radio stations, wherever you listen, they use a lot of heavy compression, sound filtering. So it's nothing that's even in the studio. It's just something that when the signal comes out of the studio, they just compress it, especially for pop oriented stations. And this was country pop, really, because it was like contemporary country. So they, if you listen real close, like radio stations compress the hell out of that sound, and that's what makes the songs and the DJs sound so crisp and almost surreal. I think, and every radio station I've been worked at has done that. There's a whole lot of compression that goes on outside of the studio after, as it's going from the studio to the antenna. Yeah. So and that was, and when I was working at KRTY, that was actually sort of the height of that. I don't know that they do it so much anymore. I hear it, but it's not quite as blatant as it was there in the early 90s. But it just provides sort of this, I don't know, sort of crisp, live kind of sound. I don't know how to describe it. But I had asked about that too at my first job, because I was like, this, I don't sound like me, but then people say that when you listen to yourself, you don't, what you hear is different anyway. But yeah, the first guy at KKBR like showed me like, yeah, this is what happens. And we compress it so that everybody sounds real present and live.
Yeah. We will never know as a human what it would be, how we really look, because we don't have unless you're like a twin. Right. Or something like that, which is probably pretty trippy. But
yeah, and even in the mirror, you get the reverse image. I saw a documentary on that not too long ago, but it's kind of interesting that we see ourselves as mirror image, and that's not what everybody else sees. And so, you're right. We'll never know. I mean, I guess you could flip the camera to make it look that way, but
still a visual. It's not a reality.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we'll maybe, yeah, I guess we see each other in each other, maybe.
Maybe so.
But right now, I probably look like,
oh, no, you're looking good. You're looking good for 52. It's good.
Really?
Yeah.
It's all this clean living.
Exactly. Well, I feel like I look pretty good for 53. So.
Yeah, you look great. Yeah, you look good. You got great hair. You've always had great hair.
The hair is my salvation. Yep.
Yeah. What's it like being a man with a full head of hair? What's it like? Do people treat you differently?
I don't know if they treat me differently, but people are surprised when I tell them how old I am, and I have started to get a little bit of gray. But it's interesting because I still feel 20. I probably still act that way. So
I know I feel like the kid, but there's times in our lives where you don't feel like the kid and you want to feel like the kid again. Right. Like why? Because I'm gonna start trying to do my Return to Sender, the film I wrote like 20 years ago. I've been trying to pitch for Hollywood, and 3 different versions of it have been made with other directors, and so I'm stealing the ideas and jokes out of it, which is fucking ridiculous. And I know people that are producers and stuff like that. This whole podcast is just made so I can make this movie. So that's the whole goal, is to get this movie made. And it's still funny. So I'm over here in Salem. So I'm getting in with Capital Media, which is a local CCTV. And I'm just going to shoot it with no budget, because I just came to the realization while I was hiking with my writing partner on it, Steve Oakes, and his wife, Julie, who are amazing. We were hiking, and they just happened to be in Oregon. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to just have to make this with completely no budget. I'm 52. No one's going to give me money. I pitched it to everybody. I've given the scripts out to everybody. No one's going to help me make it. It's not Marvel. It's not, I don't want a big bunch of people. I want to do it like how me, Mike, and Tim, and Kevin, I'm going to have to go back to that with 0 budget and lean into it and just pull all the music and resources. You might have to do some music for it.
I'd be more than happy.
That'd be more than great, because I'm gonna have to pull everybody together to do it, because no one's gonna give me fucking money. So I'm green screen it and shoot it in the winter in fucking Oregon.
Oh, there you go.
So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But
Good luck. I think that's great. And
what's that? I'm sorry.
as I get older too, I like, I've given up on the tape derbies and all of that. I had one song at all those tape derbies that was optioned by Disney, but they never did anything with it. It was a kick-ass song. But
Can we
now,
play it? Can we play it here?
I don't even know where it is. It's on a cassette somewhere, if you can actually believe
Yeah.
that.
Well, if you want to play any music during this podcast, just send me an MP3. Just send me some MP3s, and I'll make sure we toss it along into the interview.
All right.
Chit chat. I don't know if this is an interview.
Well, actually, let me if you have web access, like the polished stuff that I've done is all on, if you go to rickrood.bandcamp.com.
Okay.
And yeah, I recorded shortly after the Cats.
Can I just grab it off it, or is it going to cost me $1 or $2?
No, you get 50 free plays.
Okay.
And then
Can I download it?
I don't think it'll download, but
so I'm gonna need to be able to download it.
But after I'll send you a coupon that'll let you download for free. I know, right?
I need everything I can get. The pandemic money is stopped, so I need everything I can get.
I hear you. But yeah, so I recorded an EP shortly after that, with just 6 songs, that Peter and I, again, it was my buddy Peter, we just sort of picked them out and said, these 6 sound the best, and we went with it. And it was funny because he was a music pastor by the time we got here. He was a music pastor at a Lutheran church in Los Altos, and so we would go in after hours and just record it all there. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, some of those songs, I think they turn out real nice. And
are you a religious person?
I am not. And I don't think Peter is either. I think he's just a musician and got the gig. So he's a spiritual person, but I know that he doesn't subscribe to the mainstream Christianity stuff going on. But
you believe in aliens?
No, I don't believe in aliens.
Do you not believe in UFOs or no multiple?
I don't, and
aspects of reality.
No, I think
this is it.
There's a book. I'm trying to remember what's the name of the book. Oh hell. See, this is the bad part about getting old, is you forget stuff.
It's
Ray
there.
Ray Kurzweil. You know who he is? He's the guy that invented the Kurzweil synthesizer.
Ooh.
But basically, he's like this mad genius. He's got like 25 doctorates from everywhere, and so along about in the 80s, he started predicting the future, like looking, like not like in any esoteric sense, but really just looking at the data. And all of his degrees are in math and computers and that sort of thing, and he predicted a whole bunch of stuff that happened, like the rise of Google and internet. He predicted the whole internet thing and where we'd be today. So he wrote this book called The Singularity is Near. That's the name of the book. If you have a chance to read that, that's a life-changing book, where he makes his predictions for the next 30 years. And it's really fascinating stuff. But he devotes this one chapter to this logical argument, and I've bought into it, as why we are alone in the universe. And basically a lot of it has to do with the energy it takes for computation, for computers and artificial intelligence. And so I can't remember how the argument exactly goes, like I said, because it's pretty long and intricate. But the basic crux of the conclusion is if there were other life forms in the universe, then they would have found us by now and either destroyed us or we would have known about it. And
maybe they've assimilated with us. Maybe we are the assimilation.
But he bases all that on like how much power it takes for computation. And he talks about, what kind of computational power, meaning like literal power, like electricity, it's going to take for us to get to the point where we can do something like you see in the movie Interstellar or something like that. And he says, we're not far away from it, but either there's no other life in the universe, or they're so primitive that they're not even close to having the computational power to come seek out new life forms in the galaxy. So his conclusion, which I bought into, and I feel like embarrassed that I can't remember exactly the road he took, but it was very compelling, that there are no other beings in the universe, sentient beings.
In that sort of thought process, it makes us more powerful, I think, because we are that. It's a there was a thing with Deepak Chopra said a while back about like the human body is the radio and the soul is the frequency,
Right.
that inhabits the radio, and we live in this material form with this, but I can't help but think about like these out of body experiences that I've had with that are
Right.
so realistic, that were like, as real as it's just I think there's many dimensions happening here. Like,
Oh,
like
I
just even like
totally think that. And sometimes it's funny because we're talking science with the 4th and 5th graders, and I'm always trying to blow their minds with, what is reality kind of questions. But the thing that I've always thought, that always comes back to me, is the only way we experience reality is through our 5 senses. That's the hard data in, and all that is just converted into electricity in our brains. So what we see, what we experience, what we hear and smell and taste are really, it's not reality. It's what our brains, sort of put together as reality. And if you think about like even a bee that has a completely different eye structure, how they experience sight is nothing like, we can anthropomorphize and think that they see things, but we have no idea, and we can't get into the brain of a bee, so there's no way we can ever even know what they're seeing, and like dogs, we know they can hear sounds that we can't hear, but we don't know how they experience that because their brain is completely different. And and so we're sort of stuck in this illusion of what we like to call reality, because it comforts our soul to think, okay, I have a handle on this and I know what's real, but we really don't. I mean, I think there is an objective reality out there somewhere, but I think as long as we're limited to the 5 senses that we have, then we will never be able to know that reality. And I think sometimes these experiences that we consider supernatural, like you were talking about out of body experiences, or dreams, or just vague feelings that come upon us, may be that objective reality trying to get in, but we have no sensory equipment, at least not that's as developed as our 5 senses. And some people may have more of that sensory equipment than others do, but I think that's an evolutionary haul. And even if we are able to acquire different abilities to sense things or to feed data into our brains, it's still getting converted into electricity in our brains, and really our experience will still be what we make of it. I don't know, is that too deep?
No, let's go deeper.
Okay.
Have you ever seen yourself as a third person?
Have I ever seen? Only in dreams.
Not like sometimes as an actor, when I've done a scene or something with the limited stuff I've done, when it is, or doing theater or something like that, and it might be similar to being a DJ, I would think, because you're in that booth and it's all claustrophobic, and you're just kind of like in your improving with your, hey, let's welcome to KRTY. This is Kaja Gugu, too shy, sort of thing. You can see yourself, like even right now as I'm describing it, I could see myself in the corner, maybe about 3 or 4 feet away, watching us individually, like myself. I'm watching myself, and it's sort of like it's a thing that can happen like when you're doing a scene in a movie or a theater or something like that. But like where you're basically out of your body, but you're reacting on automatic.
Right.
Have you ever had that experience?
I have not had that experience, though. I have talked to other actors that talk about that. Going to a performing arts college, I have a lot of buddies on Facebook and everyone that are actors, and yeah, I've heard them talk about that, although never having experienced it myself.
Well, if you get on stage and do a play, you'll have it. Or
Okay.
Have you ever thought about doing stand-up?
It's funny. I took a class about 3 months ago on improv storytelling with this guy up at Unexpected Productions in Seattle, and so I got to do a few like webcasts because it was in the middle of COVID, and so everything was shut down, but we did it for their audience for that. So yeah, so again, it's not the same as having a live audience like right in front of you. I mean, I've done a couple of plays, back when I was younger, but never had that experience.
It's a very interesting one, but I guess the point when you have that experience or something like that, it gives you a sort of this an idea, like the way we can perceive reality and then perceive it outside of ourselves. I guess that's being self-aware. But
Right.
it's all like a simulation. It's like
Okay.
you're a video game being played by a user someplace, and who knows where that is. And I get as I get older with the simulation theory, right?
Right.
Like this is all we're being.
Yeah,
There's different selves. Or at least for me, it's different selves. I'm a puppet, basically.
Right.
For my higher self to project whatever they are. The nuances or even like when you're trying to like when you're writing an idea and you don't write it down and it disappears and you're like, fuck, I had that idea
exactly
and I should have wrote that down. And then you go through the brain gymnastics of trying to get back to it,
right,
which is like a brain thought exercise, which people more sophisticated than I have used. But like it's do we do that to ourselves on purpose?
I don't know that we do it to ourselves on purpose. I don't know. I was reading, God, and I wish I could remember who. It was just a passage from a book that someone had emailed me just a couple of weeks ago, and it came up with like probably the most elegant description of what could possibly be going on in that sense. And it talked about how everything in the universe is just energy, and that basically as these sentient beings, all we are is the universe and watching itself. We're like these little nodes where the universe energy can observe itself. And so I thought that really resonated is because all the energy and everything we know about quantum physics so far points to, all the energy in the universe is all the same, and it's like an ocean. It just manifests itself in different waves. And so the fact that we've been created with some sort of mind or consciousness is really just the universe being aware of itself,
expressing itself.
Yeah,
an expression of the infinite.
I don't think not even so much expressing itself in terms of like how
that's what things do. They express themselves. Like the lobster gets blue, makes itself a different color. The octopus changes different colors. Right. Giraffes, their necks grew beyond their competitors so they could have a higher food source that nobody can get to. We do these things as the planet does them, not me, but I mean, obviously I am God. But like but like this thing that we're on that makes all these things, peoples. Alan Watts said the planet peopling. It's making peopling. It's doing peopling. It's making peoples where there was not before.
Right.
And all these other animals and this like rich, like crazy, like the planet is nuts. That's God, really. I mean, or the sun, or Mother God, Earth. The only thing, closest thing that we have to a God is the sun, in my perspective.
Right.
Because without that, we ain't shit.
Right. No, and that's, and actually that's funny. We're just covering that in science class with the kids. And, when you go back, all of our energy, all of our existence is all dependent on the sun. Like that's where all the energy we have all starts with the sun. Whether it's, plants that grow that we can make things out of, or computational power that we've harnessed because we're burning coal, which was made by, animals that died because they lived because the sun gave them energy. And so all energy, with the law of thermodynamics, you can't create it or destroy it. It just keeps transforming. And everything that we have here on Earth originated with the sun, if you want to trace it back.
Yeah.
So,
Do you believe in like Atlantis or multiple civilizations that have lived here before
you know,
us?
I don't know. I honestly haven't really thought about it because I don't know. To me, it just sort of seems irrelevant. So I would be remiss to opine one way or the other. So because I don't know, what the evidence is.
But the speculation is kind of sexy of it.
It is, yeah.
If you kind of like, if you were to cut the planet in half and then see the rings of a tree,
Right, and see what was and we even have evidence of civilizations that we know about doing shit that we don't know how they did it. Like you look at the Egyptians building the pyramids, with no machines or tools. That's kind of mind-blowing. Some of the native people of the South America.
they think a lot of, sometimes I could be completely correct. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just did. Sorry about that. But like the things with the pyramids is that they I had a wild dream that a while back that the rocks were pulled out of the ground by a giant UFO, but that was way back. It was very visual, but like all those things were rolled on logs, and a lot of slave labor was involved
tons of
with
slave
that.
labor, I'm sure. Yeah. But at the same time, even with that considerable slave labor to create that, just they can't adequately explain it. How did they how did they know the dimensions? How did they know how to do it so perfectly? How did they get the rocks to be so perfect to create that?
So the water source, with this guy, and he's been on Rogan a ton of times, but I don't know the guy's name offhand, but he did the water markings on the Sphinx.
Okay.
And stuff like that. And there's watermarks on that Sphinx. So it might have been there. That Sphinx might have been there before the Egyptians
even got there. Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. But it's just a nice thought. It's just nice to know, I don't know, just as an archaeologist or as a wanderer,
right,
to see the different levels of reality that have already existed before us.
Right. Well, and I think, that's good. I think that there's, the more we dig into this, the more we find out there's so much that we don't know, and my thought is like, there's probably, I don't know what the ratio would be. I would say of all the knowledge in the universe, 90% of it is not only stuff we don't know, but it's stuff that we don't know that we don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know that I don't know how to speak Russian, right? So I know that I don't know that, but all the stuff that we don't know, is kind of mind blowing, right? And I always try to, when I'm teaching too, like, social studies is a great time to do that, because we're talking about people that lived 200 years ago, and try and put the kids back in that mindset of, you got to really imagine what it is like to not know the stuff that they didn't know back then.
They must have been fucking dumb as fucking hammers.
Right. Well, I don't know. Dumb is the word, but just not aware.
Well, dumb compared to us now.
Right.
If we were to go back with a cell phone right back in the 1850, somebody probably kill you. Like, get the fuck out of here.
It's a witch. Get out of here. What is that?
Like, you're dead. You're a demon from fucking hell.
Totally.
I don't like the way your phone look. What is that phone? What's a phone? Fucking
right.
Kick in the head and fucking steal your horse. Yeah. Do you believe? So do you believe in reincarnation? I don't know why I'm coming with this stuff, but I just like your perspective. Like,
no. I don't really believe in reincarnation in the way that popular culture thinks about it. I was Napoleon last time, and before that I was, Alexander the Great or whatever.
They always want to be those guys,
right? Well, someone had to be the slave. Come on, stand up.
Yeah, the guy with no legs, fucking begging for fucking quarters,
right?
And nickels in the fucking street, fucking shitting on himself.
Totally. But I believe, like I said, the whole idea that energy is just recycled and transformed. I believe that, we're all made of that energy and that's existed since the beginning, if there was a beginning, you know, and it's just being recycled and reformed. So I'm not so much into like the cult of personality of like, you know, I was this person or I was that person, but you know, definitely pieces of my energy could have been a piece of Beethoven or been a piece of, you know, the guy on the corner that had no legs or whatever. So it's definitely possible. And I think that energy leaves clues too. So I think that may be part of the reason people remember other lives or remember pieces of it or have fleeting shadows, because that energy stores that information and just keeps getting recycled. Like when I die, you know, all the energy that's holding my body together will disperse out into the universe, and it has to go somewhere. It's not going to be destroyed. Will it all stay together and someone is going to be, you know, Rick Rood and, you know, 2240? No, probably not. But
you'll still be alive in 2240. Come on.
Well, here's the key. Read that book. Read that book I was telling you about. The Singularity is Near, because he talks about the advances in science, and if we can survive, I think for our age group, if we can survive till we're about 80 or 90, they will have invented a way to keep people alive forever.
Like with the is it putting it in a new body, or is it a digital form?
It's the result. Well, eventually he says it's going to be digital form, but right now it's the whole work that they're doing with nanobots,
which gets okay. Remember that what you just said, but like also in a digital form. So that goes with the simulation, right? Aren't we just a composite? I'm just throwing these words around. I don't know what I'm talking about. But a composite of that, of a digital form that was able to have a high enough like frequency of sound to create the reality that we exist in.
Well, again, it goes back to our experience of reality is all just filtered through the electricity in our brain. And
something electrical is happening here.
Right. So it's all energy, right? So, I mean, it doesn't have to stay electrical, but right now that's the most convenient form of energy that we have. That's our whole body runs on chemical reactions.
But it's also understandable. It's understandable for our monkey brains.
Right. Well, and our brains have evolved and developed over millions of years. And so they've sort of standardized, you know, the model through evolution. But, you know, in terms of, you know, when we, and again, he goes back all the way back to computational power. As soon as we have the computational power to keep a grid, to keep people's brains or minds or consciousness alive without a body, then everything will become digital, and the physical world we experience through our senses will be gone. And it will be a completely just conscious plane of existence. But that's way down the road, according to Kurzweil. It's not, you know, it's not going to happen in a few years. But right now he's talking about nanobots, and those are like little robots that are, you know, obviously the name, that are so tiny, and they exist already. But he says that what medicine is doing is they're finding a way to program these nanobots so that you can inject it into someone's bloodstream, and these little nanobots just circle your body trying to find things that are wrong. You know, oh, little cancer, we'll take care of the cancer. Oh, look at that, I found some heart disease, we'll just go in there and repair what needs to be repaired without surgery or without anything. That just happens automatically. So he says that technology is really only about 40 years away. So that's his prediction. And he's saying when that happens, you know, you can live as long as you want to, or as long as you don't get hit by a bus or something. Because obviously once you're dead, they can't repair that.
Yeah, or can they? Well,
well, maybe they could. Yeah.
But would you want to live to be 500 years old?
Well, see, and that's, you know, and that's part of the reason the question is called The Singularity is Near, because we don't have the perspective to even answer that kind of question. We can pose it, but we have no idea what it would be physically like to be faced with the ability to live forever.
Well, that's like a human imprint you know, just like the end of the world is a human imprint, or the idea of paradise is an imprint. That
Right.
is one of the almost like it's the fountain of youth, which is an imprint. I'm saying imprint as a thing of source that we've all been born with.
Right. And then we all
The
think
idea
about, right?
of that.
Well, and the idea of life too is to keep life going, right? I mean, I think that's at the base, and forgive me if I'm misunderstanding what you're saying, but that's at the base of that whole belief system, is that, you know, our bodies are programmed to live and continue life at whatever cost it can, right? Like, you know, if you
Well,
hold my
even
head,
flesh has a timeline.
right?
You know, it
But
expires like everything else. I mean, it's gotta. I mean, unless we make the flesh, maybe the
Well,
flesh is where it's at.
well, and that's what the nanobots do, right? Is they go in there and they notice that, you know, this piece is decaying, so let's just create a new piece, like 3D printing, like inside your body, you know, and finding it when it's at the cellular level before it becomes a problem physically. But I think that that whole thing you were talking about how we have this, I don't know if it's even like a Jungian concept of just, you know, paradise and, you know, what we dream of, or living forever. Because, you know, you can look at the literature, there's tons of books and stories and stuff about, you know, immortality, you know, from the beginning of recorded literature. I think that comes from the fact, though, that we are programmed to stay alive as long as we possibly can.
Survive.
And, you know, like if you dunked my head underwater in a swimming pool,
I would never do that to you.
I know
would
you
never do
wouldn't,
that to you.
but
Kids don't like that. Kids don't like that.
They don't. But you know, but at some point I would have an involuntary physical reaction trying to get up to get the air.
You kill me.
And that's, you know, and that's just programmed into us. It's you know, part of
Animal.
the DNA of life, you know. Yeah, and the same with any animal too, right?
Yeah, you fight or flight. I had a yeah, you'll do lots to survive if a life and death situation.
Oh yeah.
Let me throw this out. Yeah, I had this idea, and we're going way. I'm making a left curve here. I had a friend that
far
was
afield.
murdered.
It's all good.
I had a friend that was murdered, and Juliana Redding. We used to do like a yappy hour thing in Santa Monica, and she was murdered. They've done some things, and I felt different senses when I was around her sometimes, and like I call it a heat on the back of my neck, but it's not like a heat. It's like this is the best way I can describe it. When something's not, when your senses are alert,
right,
or something. And when I was around her, the last time I saw her was we were showing each other. She's gorgeous. She's a model actor, and we showed each other our license plate, our driver's license. And next time I ran into her talking, oh, we're gonna do this yappy hour thing. And then I was living in a hotel with my dogs and off of Rose Hotel, and young actress murdered in Santa Monica, news at 10, and I got this feeling again. And so when they turned it on, I watched it turn it on TV, and it was her license plate picture, her driver's license picture, and she was murdered. The girl got off, Sarah June Park or something like that, got off of murder. Her family went crazy, because her DNA was found in the fingernails of Juliana Redding, because she had grabbed her own neck out. Somebody went into her house, but she was being strangled, and she pulled through her own neck to try to get the hands off. So and the person got off. I was thinking about doing a movie, but is it blood money? When that happens, you don't want to make profit off a situation like this, right? But there's a story there. And I have much more detail than that, but like, you will literally, to survive, gouge your own neck out.
Yeah.
So our survival instincts are pretty hardcore when it comes down to it.
Definitely.
So if I was to make that movie, just a quick question, and we'll get on to, because I know we are going down a different road, but is it okay for me to make a movie about her? If in what context would I be able to do that and it not be seeing that it would be blood money?
I mean, I think it all comes down to intention. I mean, we have so many beliefs about money and, you know,
I
financial
don't want to profit
success.
off her death, though. I don't want
Right.
to profit off her death.
No, and
It's
I
just
hear that.
such
and
a
I think-
cautionary tale.
Right. And I think that's the key would be like, you know, what's your intention in making that movie? Because, you know, people have told stories since the beginning of time. And, you know, if that, and the, you know, and I know you probably read a lot of Joseph Campbell and that sort of thing in terms of stories.
I've only read one book in my
Okay.
entire life.
Okay. Well,
E.T. and Jaws, I think, or two. That's E.T.
No, that's, I'm talking about the philosopher, Joseph Campbell.
Yeah, but I haven't read Joseph Campbell. I'm sorry.
Oh, I thought you were saying that E.T. was written. Never mind.
Joseph
Okay.
Campbell wrote E.T. That's
Damn, I
amazing.
didn't know that, man.
That's crazy.
So, you know, and just he talks a lot about the importance of story to humanity and you know, the hero's journey and how stories really keep us grounded in philosophical, you know, ideas and truth. So, you know, if your intention in writing the story or writing the movie is, you know, here's a story and it's a gripping and compelling story and there's value in it, then yeah, I don't think that's bad at all. Because, you know, stories are what makes the world go round.
Yeah, it's an interesting, because I even talked about that. I was at a party with some women, and they were telling me, is at an art show in Venice or something like that, like just a couple of years ago. And because I'm not really big into like movies about killers and stuff like that. I'm not really into those kind of movies. And there's so many shows that show that I know the people that watch because, you know, the catching of a killer or the you know, all this really high drama, like life and death, you know, people died and people weren't accounted, didn't have accountability and all these different things. And I was talking to these two girls that love these shows, and then I told them the story I just told you, and they're all like, I wouldn't make it. I said, but this is what you are passionate about on TV, but you don't want me to make it. There's a really weird serpentine sort of energy with it, because I don't know. Is people love movies about people that kill people. It's weird.
Right.
Like
well, yeah.
That little girl that got killed by her boyfriend, and they found their body, the paternity girl, the blonde girl, the white girl.
Yeah.
And they found his body in a you know, decomposed.
Right.
Like people love shit like that. Why? Why?
I think because number one, because it's rare, and because it is something that most people wouldn't do or experience, and so they get to experience it vicariously. I think that's a big draw. I'm not into that kind of thing, you know. Like with this news story now, I think that it's just sometimes the media hypes it. You know, I mean, I think one of the real telling things is all the, you know, Native Americans that are complaining now that, hey, we've had women that have been brutally murdered or raped and gone missing from reservations, and nobody says boo, but all of a sudden this white girl gets, you know, meets her end and it's national news. You know, so I think if there's, you know, if the planets align like that and the media feels like they can hype it and make something of it by telling that story, then they do. I'm not real big on those. It was funny, I went to the movies last weekend and all the previews were for all these scary Halloween movies, and I'm like looking at them, I'm like, I don't want to see any of these. It just makes me feel icky. So but like you, I know people that do like seeing that, and they're normal people. They're not psychopathic murderers or anything. But I think that
there's always potential.
I think that the draw is that, you know, they get to experience that story vicariously without having to do any of the, you know, actual real life horror that goes with it. You know, I think that
Yeah, it's
that
dramatic.
it gives them that opportunity to experience that with no risk to themselves.
Which is also creating a near-death experience. That's what when you have a hallucinogenic or a deep like mushroom trip, you are, or even like a movie is like what you're wanting to do is basically creating near-death experiences to get to this reality. It's like it's just an echo of that in a weird way. Like every good story is like the almost, you know, born, dies, comes back again, the Christ scenario.
Right. That's a common one.
There's lots of archetypes out there.
Yeah.
When it comes to that, but like some people go to the grave without even expressing any of these ideas that we've talked about tonight.
No, I do. Not everybody thinks. Not everyone thinks about it. So
well,
they just know that like seeing that kind of story, whether it's a movie or reading a book, you know, it excites their nervous system, and so you know, and there's a certain feeling of aliveness. You know, it's the same reason that, you know, I've become a huge fan of the Marvel movies, because I get to experience that without any risk to myself, and it's a cool story.
Yeah.
You know, and I think, you know, that it physically excites your brain into that. That's, I mean, my wife loves like the whole Stephen King genre, you know, just being totally just scared out of your head. I'm not a big fan, but you know, some people that really just makes
if it's
them
done
feel...
well. Like I just saw a clip from Misery last night watching TV with my brother, but a clip from Misery,
right?
Like that, like Khan, and I forget the actress's name.
Yeah, Kathy Bates. Yeah,
that's a pretty, like, you need to be a really good actor to pull that shit off.
Oh yeah,
and to pull off well,
right?
I mean, to Khan and what's the girl's name?
Kathy Bates. Yeah,
Kathy Bates. It's almost like a perfect scenario. That's what you want. That's what cinema can be. You know,
yeah.
I've been disillusioned with cinema lately. I even wonder if I even like movies anymore.
I hear you, and I don't know. I've actually, my wife and I were having a chat about this the other day, and I don't know if it was just because of the place in life I was in, but the movies from the late 80s and early 90s seem to be like a golden age for movies. Like you were talking about Sex, Lies, and Videotape. Movies like, you know, like that seem to come out every weekend were awesome movies. And now it seems like to find a great movie, it's like finding a needle in a haystack.
Well, also media has changed though too. Media, the way we get our entertainment has changed. Like
true,
the fact that we have our own basically TV stations at our hand.
It's true.
It's changed.
Yeah. Although for me, nothing beats the experience of hot buttered popcorn in a dark theater. I love the movie going experience. So like when we watch a movie, like, because we have a huge TV in the living room, it's like obscene. But even then, I still don't like, you know, I mean, I don't say I don't like watching movies, but it's not the same. You know, it's
well,
not
as humans, we like ritual. There's a very ritual aspect to that, like making breakfast or going to work or driving an hour to do something. True. You know, people like the ritual, a wedding, a death, right. Funeral. People like ritual. We love the aspect of ritual, and that is a ritual in itself, but how it's looking different. Hey, give me a second. Check this out. I'm gonna can we do a little bit more time on it? I'm gonna take a whiz real quick.
Yeah, go for it.
And if you want to talk to the audience about anything, I will be right back in 1 second. So the floor is yours.
All right. I honestly don't know what to say, you know, except for you know, those are just some of the deep thoughts that I've had in terms of, you know, life and what's the meaning of life, what are the possibilities of life, you know, and I think that life is this, you know, you get to choose, and so here we'll blow Brett's mind when he watches this later. One of the most important truths that I found came to me when I took a class called the Landmark Forum. And some of you may be familiar with Landmark, and yes, it is very cult-like, but they also have some great info. And the main takeaway that I got is life is empty and meaningless. And it's empty and meaningless that it is empty and meaningless. The only reason that would depress anybody is because you have a story about meaninglessness. So that's where we are with that.
Did I miss anything?
Oh yeah, just the whole secret to life.
Oh, perfect. Well, then I'm just right in time. I don't want to really
There you
know.
go. All right.
You
Good.
think you want to know, but you don't want to know. So I mean, we can talk forever, but let's see. We've covered some ground here. What are you working on now that you want people to know? Like what are your passions now that we're living this digital holographic human self?
Right. Well, I guess a couple of things is I really am enjoying creative expression through that digital art and photography. Love doing it. Love being able to express myself visually like that with those tools. So love doing that. I think other thing.
Can you tell us what are you photographing? Are you doing photographs like you can send me some images too, and then we can put them over what we're talking about right now.
Okay.
But like it's like, how would you describe your artwork like visually? Like what do you landscapes? Like what are you doing?
I just shoot whatever is in front of me and try and capture it in a unique way. So like yesterday, I took a 2-hour walk through what we call here in Albuquerque is called the bosque, which means the Spanish word for forest. But it's along the banks of the Rio Grande, and it's just this forest of cottonwood trees. And this weekend is the weekend that they're changing, like the colors of the leaves, and they're just this brilliant yellow right now. And it's just surreally beautiful. So basically I just walked through and shot like different angles and different trees and different looks, and then just sort of put them all together. So yeah, actually, if you want, I posted them on my Facebook last night. But it's just creating that is just beautiful, taking nature's beauty. Sometimes, it'll be just random stuff. Like I'll see a brick and just the way it's sitting or the way the light's hitting it, or some other facet of uniqueness that it has just makes a cool picture. And then you can take that picture and manipulate it and impose it on other pictures and create, sort of a surreal kind of image that you don't really even identify as a brick, but you identify as just this image that just sort of moves you. That makes any sense at all?
Totally. It makes perfect sense to me. I mean, I would love to see. I might do a dare. I dare you to paint a painting. I'd love to go invest like $20 in a canvas and some.
Actually, I have.
You have perfect. Yay!
Okay, so let me go grab this. It isn't new.
Okay.
When you were talking about that earlier, I was like, oh, I should get this out.
Yeah, definitely.
It's right here next to me in the studio. So
yeah, baby.
A group of friends and I got together, and there was drinking involved. And a good friend of mine named Gordon, and he is a visual artist. And so he said, let's paint a painting, but we'll do it together. So there were about 4 of us in the house, and
nice.
And I don't know how I wound up getting to keep the painting, but it's one of my treasured possessions. But this is
shit. Here, bring it down a little bit low. There we go. Wow.
Which way? There we go.
That's crazy, dude. That's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So it's sort of a collaborative effort that we all just, got through.
Is that in acrylic?
Yeah, it's got acrylics. It's got decoupage. It's got a little bit of, whatever you call it when you cut Mozart's head out of a magazine and paste it in there.
Oh, you did a little paste thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah. I would keep that.
So that's definitely one I'm real proud of. So, and it also reminds me of the great time we had that night too, because it was just, like I said, it was just 4 of us. We were sitting around drinking beer, and hey, let's make a painting.
Everybody out there, get with your friends and make a painting. That would that's a solidifying thing.
Totally.
Well, that's great. You should do more of that. You should do like I don't know, a little tiny, because the only reason why I'm not knocking the digital stuff, but it'll enhance your digital stuff. Like if you put like your an organic thing with brush strokes on it, and then
Right.
enhance it with your photography in your Photoshop, and bring the that kind of
Right.
contextual contact to that you get with pen or brush to canvas to a digital realm,
Right.
it can make it look more organic as well.
Totally.
And the eyeballs read organic, like, because
Right.
the human hand is like it has imperfections in it, it's a
Right.
wave or whatever you're feeling, or a fast or slow, and it's not, you can't compute that.
Right.
You can, I guess, eventually. I mean, everything, we computed this, so
Right.
so I guess maybe it's already been computed, but there is something about the organica of it,
Right.
where you're in a more of a computer realm where everything's really tight.
Right. No, it's a great idea. I'll definitely give that a try, because I think that's the hardest thing with the digital art, is because Photoshop has all these like fake brushes that you can
It's too
paint
clean.
with, and and it doesn't look right. So I don't make a lot of use of the brush feature on Photoshop. It's
But there's
mostly,
so many different processes, like to create like a photo emulsion. Sometimes, like if you want to get crazy, work with copy grounds when you paint.
oh really?
Do like and then you can it'll create this weird effect where it's blotchy, but
Huh.
it's such an organic, it's made with coffee grounds, where
Right.
you will paint and let the paint settle, and then you can knock that coffee ground off,
Mm.
and it creates this negative imprint,
Right.
which if you have an image below that, it has this photo sort of synthesis, I guess.
That's an awesome technique. I will try that.
Yeah, it's messy but fun.
Right.
But art's mess. People like art, but they don't want to do it because it's messy. They don't want to clean the brushes. They don't
Right.
want to smell the oil paint. But that's all part of it, right? Isn't that
It
the
totally
whole thing?
is. No, I agree. It is. And like back when I was working in an after school program, definitely kids would love doing that. We'd use all kinds of different materials. We'd paint with shaving cream, and painting with, have you ever painted with salt?
No. What's
Like
it like?
you mix salt, like sort of coarse salt, into your paint, and it leaves the surface kind of crystallized, with these little salt crystals.
Interesting.
Um,
Sort of like the paintings that I got, that one I did for
Yeah.
you and your wife for doing my.
Exactly like
Yeah,
that.
those are reflective gold glass beads.
Yeah, so it's like that. The salt is a little bigger than that in terms of the residue.
Can you do me a small favor? Is that painting
What's that?
available for us to see?
It's
ones that-
downstairs. You want me to run and get it real quick?
The ones with the horns. I know your wife.
Yeah.
Your wife
Yeah.
hid the nude lady,
I
but
she's so funny.
but if you can grab up at least one of those, two of those would be awesome. Just because I want to see that effect. I haven't seen those. I don't even know if I have a photograph of them, because I
Okay. I don't, like I said, I don't know where the other one is yet, but I can
grab
get
the
one.
horns.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, give me a second.
Take your
Probably
time.
Take me a minute. All right.
All right. I know we're going long. It'll be worth it. It's worth it. No, we're going way long. Let's see how long we are. Oh, I think we already bypassed our hour. But we'll just sit and chill out and zone out on Rick Rood backdrop. It's a good backdrop. So we'll put in, you know what we'll do right now? We'll put in that parade movie, or my remembrance. One of the two are gonna happen. Okay, we're back.
All right. We're back. All right. Yeah. When we got, so this is the one.
Oh
downstairs. Let me hold it
shit.
back.
Okay.
Ugh, there
Oh,
we go.
see, I gotta go. That's a sweet spot. Here, lift it
It
up a
is.
little
It's
bit.
killer.
Lift it up a little bit. Lift it up a little bit.
There we go.
Okay, yeah. That was right when I was doing the red, black, and white series with the sloppy borders. That's a dope one. I need to get back
It
to that.
is. It was great. I'll put it in closer so you can see sort of the texture you were talking about.
You have to lean it a little out.
The light will readjust.
Little out. Little
Bring it out more.
Yeah, it doesn't pick. I don't think it reads, but it's fine.
Yeah.
It looks good.
So I love this painting. It's awesome.
Thanks.
Love
man.
the other one too.
Well, you
Yeah.
guys, your wife really helped me out when I really needed it with helping me create my website when I didn't have any computers.
All good.
So musically, what are you doing now?
It's really weird. I have not done a lot musically in the last, I don't know, 5 years or so. It's funny because for Valentine's Day a year ago, my wife bought me this really like kick-ass Yamaha like digital piano, and I play it. It's awesome. As far as songwriting goes, it's just like I haven't felt the muse in a while, and it's interesting because my wife April thinks it's all because of her or whatever, but what it is and I've tried to distill this, like why, because that used to be like my whole life was like creating music. And I think it was because most everything I wrote back then was, really kind of pining and dark and, nobody loves me, wow, wow, wow kind of stuff, right? And now I'm happily married to the woman of my dreams. And so I've got no more pining. I've got no more, so we're all good. It's like, okay, we got all that out, good. Which is really strange. But
So do you need to be in conflict to create great art?
I don't think like as a rule for the world you have to be, no. I think that because that was the centerpiece of most of my music, that's where it sort of dried up, I guess. Because I go back, like I have, notebooks of music, and and I'll play some of those songs like that I wrote in the 80s and 90s, and there are some killer songs in there. But it's just like I don't, that's not my experience anymore. And
so how do we find that inspiration within you to do that again?
Right.
Where's it come from?
I've thought about it. It's like, I've tried writing, the happy, kind of, my life is great song. This doesn't work. It's just like, oh, this kind of sucks. But I still enjoy playing, definitely. And it's interesting because not a lot, I would say there's probably a good set of songs, maybe 20 or 30 that I wrote back. We talked about movies that we thought were better back in the 90s. So I would go see a movie and it would move me so much that I would write a fake song, in first person as if, that movie, the things in it were happening to me or whatever. And so I have a lot of songs like that, just based on movies. And in fact, I toyed around with the idea of, maybe do a movie album and, just the songs that were inspired by movies.
Ooh.
So I thought about that, because that would be fun to record.
Well, you already made like a number 1 album
for kids, yes.
Or Cat's Pajamas.
Yes.
have you ever, if you send me an MP3 of it, or if I can get some sort of thing, maybe I could put like a little video together and we could play one of your songs. And
that would be very cool. I'd love to see what you would put to that.
It's probably already stuff that I've shot, like nuanced landscape shots.
Right.
But I think the vocals would speak for itself. Like the playground one was fun.
Right.
There was this one where you did, God damn it, I fucking wish I could name the titles right now, but I'm 2.5 years in and a joint. But they're all really good. It's a solid album, man.
Oh, thanks.
It's always been that way. Do you think you might maybe do a sequel?
Thought about it.
How can you capture that? That's like a bottle.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, most of those were written just like sitting around hanging out with kids, and so I tried doing a couple other ones. It just sort of felt forced, and so I think I just sort of gave that up like a long time ago. But be something to play with. Yeah.
So when you're working with kids, what age group are you working with? And can you give us people without kids insight into what the kids are doing and thinking, and how are they doing? Or they look like they're a good group of people to take us into the digital human era?
Yeah, no, actually, right now I'm a classroom teacher for 4th and 5th grade. So I have a class of
Great age.
9 to 11-year-olds, and
Right
for
right before puberty. That's a perfect because they
Right.
go.
Oh yeah,
crazy
they get real mouthy once you get into middle school. It's like that's what I always joke with the other teachers about. I don't think I'd want another age because any older they get all smart alecky and whatever, and any younger they're still wiping their nose on your shirt and all that crap. So it's like, okay, perfect age. This is it.
Yeah, they get a little assholey towards
Exactly.
before right pre-pubescent.
Exactly. So yeah, my hat's off to anyone that teaches middle school. That is a job that I don't think there's enough money to pay me.
I taught art to children in after-school programs in Compton and in the Palisades, and man, I don't know how you do it, dude. It's a lot. I think I wish there was a camera there because it was so insane. Like I think I was teaching like 13 to 14-year-olds in Compton, and I literally lost my mind. I was like because I said, you guys have got to stop touching each other. You guys have got to get off each other for a second.
That's so funny.
It was like, and me like not a 52-year-old me, like a 35-year-old me. Was like I was like still unhinged and raw. And anyways, but I could not keep their attention, and I didn't want to feel like I was fucking just babysitting, and we were super talented as well. So the frustration came out. But like, how is the generation looking?
My students are awesome. I've had really the privilege of teaching probably more than 1,000 kids in the time that I've been teaching, and I think that we're in good hands. I don't think it's, a lot of people complain about millennials, and the millennials are probably the kids that when I first started teaching that are now young adults, and I think they get a bad rap. I think the problem isn't kids, the problem comes from our society and how we're running things. And you hear about it a lot, but if I go back and think about it, my first job was at the low end of the pay scale, and I signed on for $6 an hour, and that was to be an aide in an after-school program. Here we are 32 years later, and minimum wage is still $7.50. And I'm like, well, no shit. With that $6 an hour job, with the benefits that I got, I was able to find an apartment when Dad kicked me out, right? And pay for it. So, but someone working at McDonald's, even for like their upped rates now, like $12 an hour, it's impossible to find a place to live and support yourself. So I think the whole pay scale is completely out of whack, and unless it gets fixed, then you're going to have more homeless people. You're going to have more people that are in financial straits. And I think the thing that just kills me is that like we talked about, what is reality? It goes back to that, because money is just this game that we've invented that that everybody is either begrudgingly or tacitly accepted. Okay, this is the game we're going to play, that everything costs money, and we're going to have these fantastic little green pieces of paper with pictures of deceased notables on them, and that's going to run the world. So I think there needs to be a shift, there needs to be a change, and I don't have a lot of faith in the people that are running the country right now. They just don't, they're out of touch. So that's where the danger is going to come from, not from the kids. The kids, are thoughtful. They're good kids.
Do you think because it's paper money we're dealing with right now for the common person, but
Right.
Do you think Bitcoin or NFTs are a thing? I mean, there's other...
No, I think Bitcoin is, I've always been a believer in Bitcoin. I think that it's going to change the way we look at money. But the change that I'm talking about that we need goes beyond that. It's a change of attitude in terms of, you know,
Commerce?
what commerce and how we run society. You know, it's like, you know, the main trope in teaching, you know, is that, you know, okay, we're preparing you for, you know, going out and getting a job and becoming a productive member of society according to the rules we have now. And the rules we have now are not working. And so it's more a rules thing, you know, about what is expected from people in a society. And I think, you know, from about, you know, the 1940s on, that you know, I don't know if you want to call it an archetype in terms of a job, but, you know, as you go out and you get a job and you earn enough money and you settle down, you get a little house and have a wife and kids and be done.
Yeah.
But it's changed because, like,
Well,
if you look back,
people have looked at that scenario and been able to see it as a third person, and they go, well, if that's what the drill is, if that's what the soup is, then I don't want it.
right. I mean, that's the game that we're taught to play. And unfortunately, the rules of the game have shifted, you know, because if you look back to, like, when I think it was Roosevelt that instituted minimum wage, or maybe it came after, I'm not sure. But when minimum wage was instituted, the amount was designed to be enough money for one person to work and their spouse to stay home and be able to afford, you know, the basics of life, you know, a place to live, food to eat, you know, and a little fun on the weekends. So now minimum wage isn't designed for that at all. You know, like, minimum wage won't even support one person. So, you know, so I think there's a little hope in the crisis that we're seeing now. And I don't know what it's like in Oregon, but here, like, people are quitting. Like, people are not playing the game. You know, McDonald's doesn't have enough servers
across the board.
Yeah.
I think we got a little taste of the pandemic money, and that was the wages we should have been earning anyways.
Exactly.
They kind of like, oh, this is what you need to survive. Oh, this is more than I made a fucking all year.
Right.
This is what the normal should be.
Exactly.
Then we've been living under normal for my mom's generation
For a long time. Yeah.
And under normal is not good.
No, it's not.
If you're, you know, you want to, I mean, hey, listen, we're all lazy. We all do things. We all take time to take things for our own life. But I think generally people want to do things, right?
Yeah.
They want to be a part of a community or a world or whatever.
Totally.
But like, it seems like these different levels of the less you do, the more you make.
Right. Oh yeah, and that's definitely.
And that was a next gen, you know, like, oh, I can do nothing and make this money, or like with, you know, just a change in media with YouTubers becoming superstars, or or generating cash from showing their ass.
Right.
It's like that is where it comes to, like, a personal aspect of what you want to do with your life and your time here on Earth.
Right.
And
no, I agree. And
I don't want to be around anybody that fucking just wants to make money for nothing.
Right.
And, or just like, I've known silver spoon babies, and they're not very happy. Or if you're a millionaire, they're always trying to do something more or get more, or there's never enough. People always want more, but it's their own personal experience. But, like, I guess some people aren't creative, or they are in their own way, but to diss the other, if they're on top, they feel fine.
Right.
But they don't care about I guess they have empathy, no empathy. Maybe.
Well, there's the empathy, and then there's the reality they're living in as well. Right. And I was thinking about this last night too, in terms of, you know, there's people on the streets with absolutely nothing, with zero, but we don't encounter those people on a daily basis in our lives, so they become less of a reality to us. And so it's not so much that, you know, middle class people or rich people or just like these mean, hateful bastards. It's just that's not a part of their reality, so they don't really think about it. It's not part of, you know, how they see the world. And, you know, sure, they can hear about it on the news, but it's still like this distant, you know, I saw this on TV kind of thing. So I think, you know, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is. If I knew what the solution is, I'd probably be, you know, incredibly wealthy myself and have everything fixed by now. But
And you would be thinking about things like this at all.
right. And then I wouldn't be thinking about things like this, and then the problem starts over again. Yeah.
Hey, fuck the poor. What was that Mel Brooks line? And it's History of the World Part 2. Or part 1. History of the World Part 1, like it's good to be the king.
Oh yeah, good to be the king. It's good to be the king. Yes.
But that is the menagerie of reality. Like, you know, a kid starving in fucking Africa. Like, I mean, I grew up with the dog's making noise. But like humans are we're in a very strange little place here.
It's true. And I think it's a place of change too. And that's what I'm hoping, is that some of this will spur some change to
what do you think it looks like compared to the mathematics of your the guy that you're reading? What was he saying, like on the, like if he got into where he was making predictions about what was happening and it came true, what did he say after that we might be looking forward to?
Well, and I guess that's sort of the point. That's why the book is called The Singularity is Near, because he uses the metaphor of the event horizon of a black hole. Like, you can't see past that. You have to actually go there and look. And
which is death. The human event.
I don't think he was going so much for the death thing, but
you can't see past it.
Right. The fact that you can't see past it until you're there, and then you can see a little further, but then there's still another event horizon. So you have to get closer to see over that one. And I think that's what he's seeing, is as we develop these insane technologies that we're now capable of, you know, devising, there's no way of even knowing what the philosophical questions are going to be until we get a little closer. And then when we do get there, that's going to change the entire game, because we're not going to think like we do now.
To create a visual for that, the event horizon is the arc of a round ball, black, and going down a road that can't see quite past itself.
Right. But the further you get along that road, the more you can see. But there's always a point where you can't see what's next.
It's like chasing the sun.
Yeah, something like that. But his point is that the basic way we operate our thinking is going to change as we get closer. Just much like, you know, the way we think as modern humans today, like you said, would be completely foreign to someone if we went back in time to the 1600s. You know, why do you have all this stress? Why the anxiety, right? You know, so, you know, you could try and explain it, but until they actually have been there, they have no idea what you're talking about. So,
yeah. I feel like I might have lived in the 1920s, I think, or the late 1910s. If reincarnation is a real thing, I definitely have an affinity for the 1910s.
Okay.
It seems like a pretty fun time to be alive, 1920s.
I don't know, I've thought about that. I'm a big fan of indoor plumbing, so, you know, anything before 1945 or so, I probably would be out. But
well, how do you want to wrap this up? We went long. I mean, I could talk to you for an hour. What else? Is there anything that you're passionate about that you want to talk that I haven't covered?
I guess the other thing is the latest thing is I've become what's called a high performance coach, which means that I help people one-on-one or in groups really figure out how to be a high performer in terms of what it is they're up to in the world. You know, and this all comes with, you know, I think that we as humans, like I said, there's the subjective reality that we experience, and there's the real reality. And the best we can do is to really choose the game we're going to play in the world, because none of it's real anyway. So, choose something that makes you feel alive, like Joseph Campbell says, follow your bliss, and to help people really orient their mind around ways to make that happen, to choose what game they want to play in the world, as opposed to just, like we talked about, the whole money thing, like accepting what everybody else says this is how it should be.
Yeah, because money is I've had a very precarious relationship with money my entire life. And it seems like sometimes $10 is like $100, and sometimes $100 is like $10.
Right.
So there's this fluidity of money, of like what you do with it and what you don't do with it, and how you spend it, and how you gamble it away sometimes. But and the haves, the have-nots, and being in a certain social structure and keeping up with the Joneses, and
right.
But all that stuff really doesn't matter at the end of the day, I guess. I hate using that words, but because I've known some people that go to their grave with nothing and go to their grave with everything. So
yeah,
it's like,
and that's the whole point, is it's all made up. This whatever we're doing in life, it's just made up. There's no real reality to being a teacher or being an artist. You do what motivates you, and really, again, talk about that parasympathetic nervous system, is whatever makes you feel alive. And so what most people don't understand is they get to choose, and I think that's like the first level of consciousness, is understanding that none of this is real. This is, you are in the life you're in because you made it up through your choices that have compounded over years and years and years. And, and that's, sort of how it is. And so at any point, you can start making different decisions. It's just like, just like you started making decisions to make film, right? Because it resonated with you. There's no rule that says you have to be a filmmaker, or I have to be a teacher, or anything like that. It's what resonated with us. And so we started making these small decisions that got bigger and bigger and led us down the path that we're on. And at least for me, along about, my mid-20s, I started realizing that these are conscious choices that we can flip the switch anytime we want. If I wanted to be a rock star, I could start making choices on that, right? And seeing that compound. So I don't know if any of that makes sense, but it's
perfect sense to me. But I'm also 2.5 beers in to this.
Nice.
Are you drinking beers these days? Are you drinking beers?
You know what? I have not drank hardly at all.
You smoke weed?
For a while. Yeah, sometimes a little high. But
little vape.
Yeah. It's just realized it wasn't super good for my health, and I was feeling bad. I got sleep apnea, and it makes sleep apnea even worse. So decided to trade the alcohol for the cannabis.
Yeah, I know I'm being bad. I smoke and drink. I'm not a role model.
No, and again, it's choices, right? It's like, and I'm not going to sit back and judge you.
No.
For that, or anyone else, as long as they're not, hurting other people, then, whatever, again, resonates with you, that's awesome.
So to float with this, vax or no vax?
You know what? In the end, I feel like I have to trust the scientific community over people that have watched, a couple of videos on YouTube and said, oh, okay, well, look what I discovered that the entire scientific community hasn't. So I'm vaccinated. I don't think that, the science companies or whatever, Moderna and Johnson & Johnson, are in this because they want to save humanity. They're in it for the cash. So I'm sure there's,
you're gonna follow the money.
Bad intentions, but but to, hear these stories of, they're putting microchips in there so Bill Gates can track. What the f- is that?
Oh, I love that. I
No.
love that. I saw that thing where the guy was on the stand in like the Supreme Court, and he's all, you don't think this one guy for a Republican guy was the microchipping the people with the in the shots. He's all sorry, that technology doesn't exist. There's no microchip that'll fit in the head of it.
Not yet, but it's like,
But
yeah.
I mean, not yet, maybe 10 years from now.
Yeah. So I am very skeptical and wary of anything governmental, but at the same time, I know, my son had a collapsed lung from COVID early on before any of the vaccines were available. I've known 2 other people that have died because of COVID. So it's real. They're not making this up, so
No, anytime the government will give you $30,000 to stay at home, they're not
Right.
making it up.
They're not making it up. So it's a little frustrating to see the level of stupidity that goes on in places, but
You guys have a lot of Trumpers in your area?
more than we had in California. But definitely, it's still a very liberal leaning city. So
It's crazy. And we are living in a menagerie.
it's just, yeah. And again, I think, I thought about that too. It's like, well, why, who are these people? And again, it's because of the choices that I've made. I don't hang out with those people. They're not part of my reality. And so when I hear about them or see them talking on YouTube videos or on the evening news, I'm like, did they get like an actor to come do this? This is ridiculous. This sounds stupid what you're saying.
Well, I think some people, it comes down to attention. People need attention on an individual basis.
Right.
And they want to be acknowledged for their existence.
Right.
And this is one way for people to pay attention to them.
Yeah.
You could be a Karen and have people pay attention to you. You could be a Kardashian,
right,
and have people pay attention to you. Fame is to be famous is to it depends on what you consider fame to be. Your local neighbors, your neighborhood, your community. Right. But I have never strived to be famous. I don't care about fame. I don't care about who people know who I am or what I did. I mean, I want them to watch the movies and do the art, but
right.
for my physical face and self, it doesn't really matter because it doesn't. The proof is in the pudding.
Right.
I don't need to be famous. I want people to. I guess I'm just here to bring, bring things that I thought were good as a child. That feeling I felt when I watched like a John Belushi skit on SNL for the first time, or Martin Short doing Ed Grimley, on SCTV, or Monty Python, The Holy Grail. The first that id of excitement.
Right.
But now we're old, or no, old. No, we're not old. But try telling have a conversation with a 70 or 80-year-old and talk about being old, and it's a whole different perspective.
It is.
So I guess what we do with this reality is unto ourselves.
It is. It's all whatever mindset you have.
I like being positive.
I do too.
But yeah, we should end it on that. I think we should wrap it up. And I'm gonna edit this thing together.
All right.
And we're gonna get a Cat's Pajamas song, right? Can we do Cat's Pajamas?
Yeah.
If you can do send me an MP3
of
that, I will try to extrude something together.
All right. Sounds
visually.
good.
So it just like one of your, I don't know, they're all good. So just pick the longest one.
All right.
Like, because I know all your songs are short.
Yeah, those ones are really short. So.
But that's part of the thing. That's part of the attention. It's the
attention span of a 5-year-old is small. Yes.
It's small. Okay. Well, anything? Can you remind people how to get a hold of you, and we'll wrap this shit up.
Yeah. If you want to check out more, like I said, the music, you can find it at rickrood.bandcamp.com. And then my art page is rickrood.art if you want to see some of the art that I've been putting together. And I think that's about it, you know.
Well, with this, Mr. Rick Rood, I appreciate you coming on this show.
Oh, it was my pleasure. It was
This
great,
is-
great talking to you again.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Yeah.
Well, this is my social aspect or outlet. So this is
Awesome.
thank you for giving me something to do on a Sunday afternoon in Oregon.
Yeah, no worries. It's
And,
a lot of fun.
Yeah, send me some stuff. We'll wrap it up. Cheers.
Okay. All right.
Love you guys. Tell April I say hi.
I will.
And this is fucking amazing. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much.
That was enlightening. I felt that was good. That was good. That
Yeah.
was that rocked.
Yeah,
good.
it was good. Wide ranging. Awesome.
Okay, well, I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right, brother. I'll send
All
some
right.
stuff along.
Send me some
All right.
stuff. All right.
Okay.
I'll start editing right now.
All right, cool.
All right. Bye.
All right, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
You too. Thank you.
Mhm.
Episode 68 with Mr. Rick Rood
In the books.
in the books. It's
All
done on
right.
paper. It's done. We're going to end it right now.
All right, we'll see you.
Check out my website, brettwoods.com. Instagram, brettwoods22. Did you say your Instagram?
I don't have Instagram,
Okay.
so I
Okay.
know.
They got
Too
it.
old for
They
that
got
shit. I'm stuck with Facebook.
it. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll see you
Bye.
later. Bye-bye.
Hey, 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 hey. I woke up this morning and the sun was shining. Every cloud has got a silver lining. It's a beautiful, wonderful day. Oh, it's a beautiful, wonderful day. Well, I washed my face and got some food. I'm feeling and I'm looking good. It's a beautiful, wonderful day. Yes, it's a beautiful, wonderful day. And I can't explain this